Wait, no. Okay, three, two, one, now. Okay, guys, welcome to the second episode. I mean, the first episode. We had
Episode
a
zero. Mine
episode
episode -1.
Yeah, basically we did record a little bit, but I fucked up on my end. I apologize, guys. So yeah. Anyways, we're gonna go like speed run basically what happened. So yeah, this is episode 1 of the Autofocus podcast, and so basically what this is I'm going to be talking to people who are basically similar to me, who have interests in like gaming, photography, video, cinema, all that kind of stuff. People who are entrepreneurs or own businesses, stuff like that. Those kind of people, you know. But it could be like honestly anyone, but I want to mainly focus on that group or that kind of niche of people, right? Because I think that's pretty interesting. And all right, so basically, yeah, my name's Daniel. I'm gonna be like the main host. So I'm a freelance graphic designer. Well, not actually. I work full-time graphic designer. I'm a freelance photographer, like social media marketer. I do video and content creation, like YouTube and stuff like that, as a hobby, right? And you know, I'm 19. I live in Thailand, and so the second guy, Mr. Brown Man, his name's Ed. I've known him for like a long ass time through Facebook. I used to make like video game montages and stuff like that. He hit me up and he was interested in like how I did like certain settings on a program, and so he messaged me and I was like, hey man, this is how I did it, and we've been friends ever since. So that's like probably 6-7 years now. So yeah, Ed, introduce yourself.
I'm Ed, and companies/people pay me to make videos for them, and that's about it.
Yeah, he focuses. I guess like his main expertise is basically in the esports industry. He used to be like semi-professional Overwatch player and like CS. But yeah, his main or was the main source of his income was like making videos for like esports organizations. And so final dude Harley, he's basically a classmate of mine. I used to go to school with him since grade 3, so that's like since 2008, since I was 8 years old, right? He has like his family has some businesses. He does photography, and he does occasional like video creation and stuff like that, but it's more like on a hobbyist level. So yeah, that's who my man is, Harley. And so basically, yeah. What I wanted to start off.
Let me talk.
Yo, I'm just gonna do it fast, dude. We gotta do it fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it, man. I get it. All right.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. What I want to start with, basically, is cinema or photography, right? Do you prefer videos or making videos, movie? Also, like, could be kind of like enjoy watching movies and kind of like. Not necessarily has to be making movies, because like I don't think any of us are going to be able to make a fucking movie because we're just like a bunch of fucking kids, and like I don't think we even have like the artistic like bandwidth in our brain to be able to do something like that, right? Or photography, right? So basically I'll go first. I'm like a 50-50 split basically. Video is fun and stuff like that, but I feel like me personally, I have more I'm more comfortable with taking photos, right? I feel like if I just go out and go anywhere, I can take a bunch of awesome photos. I prefer the overall process as well, because I think it's a lot less time consuming, and it's a lot I can be more spontaneous, right? I can just go somewhere, take a bunch of photos, and there'll probably be a bunch of good photos in there. I can edit them pretty well. Whereas if it's like with video or something like that, you really have to be really thorough with like your planning and what you're gonna do and stuff like that. Because like, if you shoot something and you finish, like, okay, shooting is over, now we go to the editing phase, and you forgot to shoot something, holy fuck, that's a nightmare. All right,
Yeah,
so whoever wants to go next can go next.
I think Harley should go next.
Oh, okay. I'm bigger on the photography side, because just like Daniel, I really hate the video making process. You know, if I forget something, you know, it's a big oof, you know, big oof, and and I don't like that. Photography is much more easier. You go somewhere, There you go. That's your shot. Oh, another shot. Another one. Another one. Yeah. Yeah, it's much more easier and less frustration, yeah. Yeah, big Ed.
Yeah, I feel the same way pretty much, but except imagine now the way I look at it is basically when you come home from a shoot, right? You have your raw images on your camera and your unedited raw footage, right? You could go either way with those, right? You could either put a LUT on your video and then send it out. It could be incoherent, but it is what it is. But then at the same time, you could extensively edit your photo, that one photo you have, and make it something completely different, or just make it something mind blowing, something that wasn't even that wasn't even the original photo, right? So it goes both ways for me. Like I see massive potential for, like, when I am shooting something. I don't really have a clear vision right then and there, but then when I'm on the editing desk, I can see whatever I can do with it, and what kind of a story I want to tell. Right. So I really like both fields equally. I would say.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. I didn't think about that. Like with photos, right? It's like you can take a photo and you can pretty much go wherever artistically with like the post processing. Whereas with a video, you it's like pretty much since from the start, right? You have like a clear vision of what the end product is going to be and like what it basically is going, like the themes and the ideas behind it and like what kind of story you want to tell, right? Whereas with a photo, it's pretty, I guess, like, I mean, you can do that as well with a photo, right? But like, if you're going out and doing it kind of spontaneously, like just on the spot, right? It can pretty much be whatever you want, right? It could be looking cool, or you can edit the photo in a certain way to give a different vibe, right? Or tell a different story. Um, so yeah, I was also gonna ask, since the thing I'd say we most have in common is like photography. What initially got you into photography?
And who's that, for Harley or me?
Both of you, everyone, but like whoever wants to share first can go first.
And Harley, take it, man.
All right. So, what inspired me was my sister. She got a camera, and I wanted to get on and use her camera. So I took a bunch of pictures just because I wanted to, and showed my mom like, oh, I can do it. So I did that because my sister, she wouldn't let me use her camera. And so I took pictures to prove to my mom, okay, I can actually take pictures. And my mom made my sister, just made her let me use the camera. Yeah, so let me show you a picture that I took on my iPhone 5S. Wait, 1 second.
Yeah, sure thing.
Flip. There you go.
Look at that. That should be a Coca-Cola ad, my boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Coca-Cola, please fucking sponsor me. Please cut
Hit him
the
up,
fuck
man.
out.
Hit him up.
Yeah. I think I'll just share next then. But I was gonna say, like, I think like the idea of like making photos for ads and stuff like that is quite interesting to me. I kind of want to get into that, like product photography and stuff like that. I feel like I don't know, like I remember I took a bunch of photos with like my because recently I got a DJI Mini Mavic. Wait, is it Mavic Mini? I can't remember, or is it just DJI Mini? I can't remember. Whatever.
It goes meow. That's all you know.
Yeah. but like I don't know. It's like quite. I found the whole process of like, okay, I'm gonna set this thing up on like my desk, and I'm gonna put like this cool like red background backlighting, and then I'm gonna have like a purple, like another purple backlight, and like all these different colors and stuff like that, right? And like taking the photo on like a super long exposure and then like using a little light to like light paint and stuff. I found that like whole process like really really interesting and really fun. Like, you know, it's like, even though like, yeah, it was just a personal thing, right? Because I just got a new drone. I was like, I need to take a cool photo, right? I found like, I think like doing that was actually really really fun. Like I feel like I would enjoy that way more than shooting a video.
Yeah, I was
Anyway.
really impressed with your picture. It was a long exposure on your drone, and it was so steady. Like it was a long exposure in the air for I don't know how many seconds, and you can see the whole like road of like red lights and white lights.
I think the maximum exposure, like the longest you can have the shutter open on DJI Mavic Mini is not 4 seconds, quarter of a second, or maybe 4 seconds. I don't know. I have to check. It's either 4 seconds or quarter of a second. I think it might be 4 seconds.
I don't know, but the pictures came out really like steady, and
If
I
you
rock
pixel
with that.
peep it, if you pixel peep, it's not that steady. I can tell you that because it was a bit windy.
Mm.
But anyways, yeah, we got fucking off topic. I was gonna say, yeah. For me, like what got me into photography is basically I bought a video camera to do like streaming and video videos, like YouTube videos and stuff like that. But it was more like gaming, right? But then I was like looking and trying to understand at the same time like how to properly use it, because I didn't understand anything about cameras. Like literally, I didn't know a single shit about camera. Like I knew like what a phone camera could do, right? And I was like, oh, just open the shit and deep deep doop doop deep doop, right, like that. And like that was it. That was like my knowledge of like photography and stuff like that, right? So I really want to understand. And I started getting like recommendations on YouTube and stuff like that for like how to take street photography, better street photography photos and stuff like that, and car photography, right? Because like I'm a huge car guy, right? And so eventually I just went out and started practicing and stuff like that, and I was like blown away by like what kind of photos I could take. And like I wasn't even thinking about composition or anything. Like I would literally just go see something that looked cool and I was like, ooh, right, with like my little APS-C little poo-poo kit lens camera, right? And I was like, fuck man, that shit looks actually really good, right? And so ever since there I've just been like zoom, just taking as many photos. I kind of like entering a stage of like a little bit of burnout. I haven't been taking as many photos lately because I've been like focusing more on like video and stuff like that, and like doing more like freelance work, right, to get some monies. But yeah, I remember like my first month I took something like 4,000 or 5,000 photos. My boy just fucking chugging a fucking milk jug. What the fuck?
Oh, man's having a fucking full ass dinner over here, man.
Yeah. So what about
Sorry,
you?
sorry.
Yeah? How'd you get into photography?
Yeah. As we discussed earlier, I had a phone. I got a phone long back, and yeah, I forgot to tell you this, but basically, when the phones started to develop really good cameras all of a sudden, right? And then if you would put something really close to the phone, the background would get blurred, and
Yeah, that's true.
the whole thing was very alien to me at that point. But it looked really cool, right? So I would just take random objects and be like, oh my god, how blurred can I get this, right? How blurred can I get the background? Right?
It's Ed's first experience with the bokeh ever. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, bokeh.
Yeah, actually, like legit, everything else prior to that, anything that took photos, right? Everything was in focus, and it wouldn't appeal to me, right? Because there's nothing new about it. It was like, yeah, it's just a photo, right? But then as soon as I got that nice juicy depth of field, right, with that shallow depth of field, I started just taking, I started banging out photos, right, left, right, and center. I just took photos, day in day out, right? And then when my birthday came, I got gifted a D3100 Nikon, right? And then that's kind of where I started nudging myself more into the photo space.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like now that I understand a lot about cameras and stuff like that, it's like I'm just amazed before that. I feel like people who don't know anything about like video cameras and stuff like that, right? Like this is also a thing that I think there's a problem with like phones now, right? They have like fake depth of field basically, right? because obviously if you have a phone like this, right, the sensor is like tiny. It's like the size of my thumb, right? It's
You won't
like,
get like f1.4.
well, like, but I mean, like, if this is a Samsung A50, right? This is like this is a mid-range phone, I'd say, right? It's like maybe on the lower end, right? But you know, when I take a photo, I can actually see the photo specs, right? And it says like f 2.2, right? So the aperture, it has an f-stop of 2.2, right? But the problem is that the sensor on phones are so small and so tiny, right? That like you're never ever gonna get like good and like actual like bokeh and depth of field, right? And I feel like that's something like normal people don't understand, because like before I knew anything about cameras, right? Like I knew what like a pocket camera is, you know, like Canon, is it Canon PowerShot or something like that? Like those like really small compact cameras where you just turn it on and like a little chode of a lens comes out. Like it's not interchangeable or anything like that, right? And like you take a photo and everything is in focus, right? And so like when I saw photos that had like bokeh and depth of blur, like I could just not understand what is actually happening in that photo. I didn't realize how something like that can happen, right? It's funny though, because like in real life, if I put my hand like this, right, I can see everything in the background is all blurry and stuff like that, right? But it's like I don't understand how that works with a camera, or like works in a photo. But now that I like actually into cameras and stuff, like I can understand it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the live, like most cameras or most phone cameras on phones now have like this thing called like live blur or something like that, where it's like they have the way it works on phones now. What Ed was talking about earlier is like actual depth of field and actual bokeh. So like when I hold, oh fuck, I was gonna use my mouse, but I forgot it's taped to the table. So like
Okay,
so like if I have this and I hold my phone up like super close to it, right, I'm gonna get like actual depth of field and bokeh, right, because of like how close it is, right? But for example, if I'm taking like a selfie or something like that, right, the distance between the phone and my face is like too much for like the phone to be able for the little tiny phone camera lens to be able to like produce a good depth of field and bokeh, right? So like they have all this bokeh that you see now on phones and stuff like that. That's why I still don't really like phones for like photography. I know people do like it, but like phones are good for macro shots, I'll say that, like up close and really small things. But the way it works is most cameras now, they have like infrared sensors or something like that, right? And so it like when you take a photo, it just shoots like invisible lasers everywhere, and it measures like how far everything is or how close everything is to the camera, the phone camera, right? And then so like based off of that information, it's gonna be like, okay, so that thing is like much further than like the thing that's closest to the camera, and so we're gonna just put like a Gaussian blur or something like that. It's not nice bokeh, it's just blurry, right? It's kind of like if you went into like Premiere Pro or like Sony Vegas or whatever and you just put a blur on it, right? It's kind of like smudgy and stuff like that. It's not creamy, right? So yeah, that's why I don't like it at all. I think like maybe once like phones have like actually like really good lenses and stuff like that, that would be like really cool. And I think that that might be like a actual problem for like maybe like amateur photographers and stuff like that, because like if you think about it, like phones are getting so good now with like I'm not gonna like, the pictures are sharp and stuff like that. The only thing that's lacking now is honestly like the bokeh and like depth of field, like proper like natural one that looks natural and good, right? Because like most normal people, when they see a picture like that taken with a phone, they don't see it from like someone who knows like photography and stuff like that. It looks like any other photo taken with like a proper camera, right? Like APS-C or DSLR, mirrorless full frame camera, right? But for someone who actually understands that, they can easily see that like it doesn't look correct. It's kind of like when you see something that's human or like humanoid, that's so close to human but it's not really human. It's like the uncanny valley basically of photography.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the bokeh, like it's just blur. It's so like something far away would be blurrier than something that would be closer, you know, like just out of focus. But just in the camera, in the phone camera, it's just blur. You know, it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the same
yeah.
blur.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like one. It's like,
not good looking.
yeah. That's actually I should have said like it's like it's basically like two levels. It's like if in Photoshop you had like you have a flat image in Photoshop, so you have like a person like me, and it's like if you would go into Photoshop and like die cut me out, and then paste me on on a new layer, right? And then just blur the bottom layer, right? That's how it looks like. You know, it's like when I scroll on Facebook and I see like Facebook moms posting pictures with like really expensive phones and shit like that, and it's like my
Yeah.
friends and stuff like that, and like. Dude, it looks so fucking weird. It looks alien. It actually looks. I hate it. It looks so disgusting. It's fucking disturbing. I hate that shit.
Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you this pic. So you see here. Okay, so you see
What the fuck is
this guy. He's in focus. You know, outside it's not really in focus, but if you look at here, it's
Yeah.
kind of more in focus. But you know, you get the point. It's not good
Yeah.
looking.
No, it's not. It looks really bad. I mean, like, if like I think if people just did a little bit of more research and stuff like that, like I think they would understand. But like, anyways, going back to my main point, like that actually I think is like a problem for like people who are trying to be like small photographers or stuff like that. I mean, sure that there's always going to be a market for people with like full frame professional cameras with like prime lenses and stuff like that, right? For sure, like those people, not jobs will always be available for them. But I think there's a problem with like, for example, like you could actually probably like take pretty nice product photos, right? If you had like nice studio lights and stuff like that. But it doesn't even need to be studio lights, because like, for example, if you're selling like fucking Sony lens hoods, lens caps on like Facebook or some shit like that, right? All you need is like a small little white box with like some LED lights that you can buy for like $10 on like fucking Wish or eBay or some shit like that, right? And like a decent phone, right? Not like low, like really budget. They still take okay photos, right? But like you know, a couple hundred, like $300-$400 phone and up, they can take pretty good photos, right? And like most people are not gonna care, right? But so yeah, I think like for like amateur photographers who are starting out, so people like us, like I don't think people are gonna see the value in that anymore.
Imagine now imagine you don't possess the knowledge you have right now, and imagine if you were to start right now. Imagine if you were to either buy a new camera or buy a new phone, right?
Mhm.
And I guess currently, with the way the cameras are, and how less of a distinction there is between an entry level actual mirrorless or a DSLR and like versus a mid-tier phone right now with the cameras, right? I think it's a very dangerous time to be in, because imagine if you bought a camera instead of a phone, right? Now and then you spend some months with it, you use it to its whatever potential you can by then, right? And then you start to see, okay, yeah, there's this thing called a focus ring. You can manually focus, and then how the aperture works and everything, right? But on the contrary, if you actually went out and bought an iPhone instead, because it basically takes the same photos, right? It would be very harmful for your own growth as a photographer, in my opinion, because you wouldn't be exposed to all the machinery that is behind what makes
Yeah.
a photo, right? Because everything's
Yeah, yeah,
mostly
yeah.
auto, and and even though you have the options to go manual and everything, you would mostly not do that, because
No.
at the end of the day, if you have a phone, you want your photos to be quick, right? You're not going to
Yeah.
just sit there fiddling with those things. But when you do have a camera, right, you do get the little bonuses with it. Like you can go to aperture mode and still be as fast as a phone, but at the same time, you're getting a much better photo with that.
Yeah, that's true, but like yeah, I'm thinking more so from like talking from the perspective of like a small business owner or something like that, right? Because like I think like people like that, they're just not gonna see the value in like hiring a photographer to take a bunch of photos and stuff like that. That's also true, because like now it's actually pretty easy to take a photo with a phone, because like AI is getting pretty smart and stuff like that, so it knows how to like, okay, we're gonna take a photo like this, and like filters, Instagram filters and stuff like that shit is getting pretty insane as well. You know, it's also just like looking at like you can look at like TikTok and Snapchat filters and shit like that. That's like actually pretty insane to like what level programs and apps and stuff like that can like recognize facial features and stuff like that, and like change it right in real time, right? That's pretty cool. Now like imagine if they did that for like just taking photos and like improving photos, right? Because like, you know,
Yeah, they do.
yeah, I know, but like the thing is though, like there's more money to be made, or like, you know, more, there's a bigger market for people who want to like have crazy silly filters and shit like that than people who are like trying to take really nice photos with their phone or something like that, you know. Yeah, I think that's still like, you know, honestly, if you're not trying to make money, I mean, guess it depends, you know, because like there are people who like really into photography. Like I know a person, he's an older gentleman, right, and he's been taking photos for like 60 years or something like that, 50 years. So like he still has cameras that are like made out of wood, you know.
There's no way.
Oh god.
Yeah, he has them. It's actually insane, right? And like he has never made a single. Okay, maybe he's made a couple of $100 posting them on like Shutterstock and stuff like that, right? On those like stock images websites, right? But he's never done like paid gigs or anything like that, right? He just really fucking loves photography, right? So like, you know, if you're that kind of person, then sure, right? But I feel like for most people now, like honestly, yeah, people, because it's like having a small phone like this is so convenient. You just like put in your
It's
pocket
very
and you
powerful.
use it every day, right? It's like you get a better phone, right? And you get, so you can run apps better and smoothly and stuff like that, right? And you get a better screen, bigger screen and shit like that, right? And you get a better camera. So I feel like most people now are gonna lean towards like buying phones instead of like entry level camera, right? I feel like entry level DSLRs and mirrorless are kind of like dying out now. Sure, there's still definitely a market for it, right? But I feel like it's gonna get smaller and decrease, right, as people are gonna swap over to phones and stuff like that. Whereas like, you know, because the standard is kind of shifting now, where it's like more acceptable to have photos from phones and stuff like that, you know, because like so many pictures now I see like a lot of them are taken with phones and stuff like that. People are like, wow, phones are amazing, right? You know, but like I still believe like from a more professional photography standpoint that there's 100% there's always going to be like jobs for people, you know, like real estate where you have to take photos that blow up onto a big billboard or like posters and stuff like that. You're always going to need professional photographers. But from more like a small business standpoint, I feel like people are just not going to use photographers anymore.
Yeah, I feel like the entry point of I don't know, say, okay, so for the new photographers, right, who want to be photographers, I think the path is very unclear right now as it was a few years ago. Like for now, like right now, if you look up how to make money off of photography, right, and even if it's like 1 or 2 years old, like a video, right, it's completely misleading for like from today's point of view, right? Because they might say, all right, you can go and take a photo, or you can go up to like a small business and tell them that you can take photos for them, and they might pay you, or send you to other people who might pay you, right? But then right now, as of May 2020, there are billion more people who'll just use their phone, and they'll be like, no, we're good, we have phones right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the whole point, right? It's
Yeah.
like stuff like that, right? Sure, there'll still be shops and stuff like that, right? That like still want like really really good photos, right? And it's like those, but then you have to see it from their perspective, right? It's like that's where they set their standard, right? Like to
Yeah.
them, like a photo with a really good phone camera, that's already enough. They don't want any more than that. That's stuff like that. So like you're never ever gonna get a job or photography gig with them, right? So it's like as phone cameras are getting better and better, like that standard is kind of gonna like, it's like it's gonna kind of shift, right? And more, I feel like more people are gonna be like, yeah, phone cameras are good enough and stuff like that, so we don't really see a need for that. But obviously you have like big companies or people who really care about like their brand image and stuff like that, who are obviously gonna want photographers, like professional photographers. Oh, I also wait, you go first. You go first. Sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No,
Okay,
'cause,
so-
like what I'm saying is gonna go to a different topic.
So, can you tell if this picture is made is taken off of a phone or
Well,
DSLR?
wait, link it instead of just like fucking,
Fuck.
just fucking pixelated ass fucking goddamn Discord call. Like, wait, is that a fuck? Oh yeah, that's a Canon lens. I was like, Ed's holding up a
Alright.
fucking A7 with a fucking Canon like lens hood thingy, and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yes.
It's on my,
Hey boy,
it's
look,
on my
you want to come to my
Instagram,
camera shop? Camera shop, boys. I got all the fucking camera shit here.
Camera itself. Whoops.
I actually saw someone posted a Canon 70 to 200 millimeter f4 for like 11,000 baht. So that's like $300 US. That's a pretty good price, dude. Hello.
Yo.
There you go.
So
Yeah, okay,
got distracted.
Where did you send it?
It's on my Instagram.
Just send it to my DM it to me, and then I can forward it to Ed.
You can just put it in the Discord chat,
Yeah, that's yeah. You can just. I was gonna say just put in the. Actually, no, that's gonna fuck up the thingy. Send it to me. Send it to me. Fuck it. No, just
Okay,
whatever. I put it on
there you
fuck the.
There you go. I sent it to you.
Where
Just
is
use
it?
your fucking phone again.
On my Instagram.
Okay. Maybe I'll put in post or some shit like that or whatever. Let's see. Can we tell if this is taken with a phone or a camera? No, that's an iPhone. I can tell it's an iPhone.
I think you can share your screen also, and it'll switch over for a brief moment. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
on my
that's actually
phone right now.
no.
Yeah.
What I can do is I can
Share screen. Yeah.
I can share my screen. So I'm gonna.
I think it'll become 4 people then, like 4 slots.
No. Don't worry. I'll just share your screen. Harley change it on Instagram. Boom. All right. Okay. Well, shit's kind of fucked. But anyways. Oh my god, the Discord, like the OBS thing is completely fucked. Anyways, so it's gonna replace Ed for a brief moment, but basically it's like
I'm gone for it.
it's like a bunch of beach photos and stuff like that, right? I can tell it's an iPhone. I can tell it's an iPhone photo because of the fact that it has like the super distinct.
It's just
distinctive
wide
angle. Yeah.
Yeah,
super
it's just
distinctive
wide.
angle.
You can tell like the distortions.
I'll forward it to you, Ed.
Yeah, I already saw it there, so
Oh, okay.
I can check it out.
But yeah, I can tell it's an iPhone photo because of like, it's not that sharp, right? It's a little bit soft because the problem with like not like now phones are having like wide angle, right? Like ultra fucking wide angle. Like I'm talking, it's like big boys. Like I hold my phone like this and my finger is here and I can see my finger, right? So that's how wide it is, right? But the problem with that is that those wide angle photos, like they're not sharp. They're really soft, and like they're like 8 megapixels or like 10 megapixels, right? So it's really easy to tell. I could tell. Yeah, it's also, I feel like if it was it would definitely be much sharper if it was taken with a like an actual camera,
DSLR.
right? DSLR.
Yeah.
And I also feel like the color depth is not there really compared to like a proper
Yeah,
DSLR.
this was taken on my Samsung Note 10.
Oh shit! I didn't know you had a fucking Samsung. I thought you were an
Yeah,
Apple
it's
boy.
switched up.
Huh? What you say?
What?
What
I
did you
switched
say?
up.
Oh, you switched. Hey, join the Samsung gang. Yeah, I was also gonna ask like, what was actually starting photography like? Cause like, I I don't see a lot of people talk about it that in depth. You know, like people are like, oh yeah, I started photography and it was a little bit confusing at first, but I eventually got the hang of it. Right? No one like for me, honestly, it was like it took me so long to understand what was it called, like aperture. That just got me so fucking confused. I remember asking Ed about it like a bunch. I feel like yeah, I remember for like first few months I just took on auto before I switched to manual. But I feel like honestly, if you're starting out, you should honestly definitely try start with auto, right? And maybe use manual focus, right? So like camera chooses all the settings for you and stuff like that, and you just manually focus, right? Although like most cases autofocus is going to be more accurate than manual focus, it's still like really good practice to like use a manual focus, right? I feel like when you're learning how to start photography, you should definitely like do one thing at a time. So like for example, what I said before, like settings on auto and just learn how to do manual focus. Once you got that down, you can maybe start to go like into aperture priority and like play around with the aperture and just like take a bunch of photos using aperture priority mode, right? Only so that you can learn how the aperture responds and what it does and stuff like that, and then like, you know, move on to shutter speed and stuff like that. Shutter speed also, that was quite difficult for me to like get my head wrapped around.
Yeah, for me, I think best way to learn is to first of all just continue shooting. There's just never not shoot, and then couple it with at least one setting on the camera that you're comfortable playing with, right? So, for example, you're out in the street, right, and then there's a ton of movement and there's a ton of like still things that don't move, right? So what you can do is you could just have everything else auto or go shutter priority, right? And then you can just manually set the shutter speed, and then just play around, see how photos turn out, because sometimes even the wrong settings teach you so much about the camera than the right settings, and always being on the right setting does not always give you that experience of that authentic experience with the camera. Oh my god, did the fucking headphone thing again and just yeeted my head.
Yeah, so I was gonna show you my lens, which I got it stuck on my macro tube.
Oh fuck, dude. Yeah, dude, that's like a horror story of people who have like UV filters or ND filters, right? And they like, cause like for example, like let's say for example I have like this lens, right, which is like the kit lens, right, but I only use it for one thing and I only use like one filter and I never take it off. Right? So like I've heard so many stories of people having like UV lenses and stuff like that stuck in there, and they like no matter what they do they can't take it out, right? And like sometimes they have to use like fucking screwdrivers, or they have to like they have to crack the break the actual like filter, and then like fucking just break that shit out, which is horrible. Yikes. So like I think that's like a pretty good thing I learned as well, because like I remember I left a polarizing filter on for like a couple of weeks on one of my lenses, right, and it became really hard to take off. So I feel like if you have any filters, or you use any kind of filters, you should like probably take that shit off regularly and clean it, because like you don't want it fucking stuck to your fucking lens.
Yeah, you gotta grease it a little bit somehow. Vaseline. Good old KY lube.
yeah. So you actually using a macro tube. I remember watching a guy who used like fucking 10 of them or something like that. Like it was like some retarded shit, right? And he had like 1,000 millimeter. Like dude, it was crazy. Like he took a picture of like a regular like money banknote, right? Like I think it was like Chinese currency or something like that, right? And like you could see the fucking fibers of like the actual banknote itself, right? It was like times 1,000 zoom or something like that, right? That's crazy. Yeah. So how's the macro lens?
It's pretty cool. I can take a picture of.
Oops.
I can only take a headshot of this mannequin, which is like really small, and that's only for one tube. It's like a 31 millimeter. Yeah.
I might, dude, I might need to go like Frankenstein and like borrow one of your macro tubes. Get like Canon. So like Sony on my A7, Canon mount on my A7 with a fucking macro tube onto a fucking other lens or something like that. But
Dude,
yeah,
just get a fucking macro tube. It's worth it.
dude, Sony shit is so fucking. Dude, honestly, I really want to do
The
like
fake
macro
one.
Yeah, that's true. But I need to find one that's like cuz you can buy like these things called like dead adapters
Dude,
or
I
something
got
like that.
I got an idea.
What?
Check me out. So just buy you know the fucking extension. No, the
Yeah.
fucking mount,
Yeah.
and then mount it on a PVC pipe.
Yeah, that's actually like a really what I was gonna say before. Yeah. Anyways, like you can do
But
like
you're not gonna get autofocus though.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I saw like I was watching one of those like
Autofocus.
photography tip videos, and some dude literally said to like a cool photography trick is to like get your lens set up and stuff like that, aperture and focal distance or whatever, right? Like set it to minimal focal distance, take it off the camera, turn it upside down. Yeah, like that. No, wait. Yeah, like that. And then you can get like really cool macro shots. I'm like, what? But you have to like move the camera back and forth, and like it's super hard to like actually do it. But I think that's actual like legit photography tip. But you know, at the same time, that's like a little bit too much work. You know, just buy a fucking macro to like a dead converter. What I was saying before, like for people who don't have like a lot of money to spend. Honestly, actually now is a fucking perfect time if you want to get into photography or whatever and you have like some money burning a hole in your pocket. Do it right now, dude. Shit is so cheap. You have no idea. I literally just saw a Sony A7R2 for sale for I think it was like 28,000 baht, and the shutter count was 20,000. That's an A7R2. That's a 42 megapixel camera with 4K. That's fucking okay. It's upscaled, but it's cropped not upscaled. Sorry, it's cropped 4K, right? But that's
Mad
still
value.
fucking, dude. That's pretty good value for 28. Let me do that to USD. So that's like, no, 28,000 baht to USD. That's 873 US dollars. That's fucking good price. I'll do that for Indian rupees for my boy Ed because he lives in
It's
India.
just twice the fucking baht, man.
Yeah, it's
Almost.
66,000 rupees for our A7R2. That's pretty fucking good, dude. If I didn't have an A7 II, I would have bought it, honestly. Wow, that's like, yeah, dude. People are selling lenses left and right. You know, I saw Canon 70 to 200 millimeter f4, right? The USML. So what is up with Canon? They're fucking like I feel. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Sony, for like naming your lenses like fucking normal human beings. You have like 85 millimeter f 1.8. Like fuck, that's easy. Then you got shit like Canon with like Canon 50 millimeter f 1.8 USML m dash slash 4 some shit like that, dude. But yeah, I saw it for sale for like 11,000 baht. So that's like 22,000 rupees. That's not bad. You know, that's like $300, right? But what was I gonna say? Yeah, dude. Honestly, Sony with their E-mount, that shit is amazing, dude. Harley, you must feel like you got fucked over because of the. For those of you who don't know, Canon recently came out with another new mount, right? So it's like it looks like they're not making any new mounts for the. Is it EF? Yeah, looks like they're not making any mounts for the EF lenses for the EF mount anymore. They're moving to the. Is it the
RF.
ER mount? RF.
RF mount. Yeah.
RF mount. Yeah. How do you feel about it?
Why?
So
What
they
the
can
fuck? Okay, this is news to me.
But yeah,
Fuck.
they came out
I
out
just
with.
felt like I got anal fucking raw dog. You know, it's
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Look, I'm not sure if they're not making EF mounts, EF lenses anymore. But from what I heard, there's a new RF mount. So all the new Canon cameras coming with RF mount, basically, right? And they're putting like all their R&D into like RF lenses basically. Apparently they're much better. Like I haven't gone super in depth with my research or anything like that, so don't quote me on that. But basically, from what I can see people saying, just like short glimpses of people's reactions and reviews and stuff, like they're saying that the RF mount lenses are actually like really really impressive, right? But I feel like that's like kind of annoying as shit because like, you know, we're over here with like Sony gang. Imagine having to buy adapters for the same brand camera and lens. Oh.
Oh fuck.
I'm not gonna lie though. Like honestly, with that, Sony is on point with their lenses. You have a wide selection of lenses. They work with all the cameras, right? Wow, that's amazing. You know, like I remember because I bought actually a Sony E mount to Canon mount, right? Because I was using his lens because he has some nice lenses, or had, but basically, yeah, I was looking online trying to buy it. Right, this shit is so cheap. Like honestly, I don't understand why people think like you gotta buy super expensive shit for your camera and stuff like that. Like, dude, this converter, this adapter, right? This got autofocus. This shit was 3,000 baht. Do you know how much 3,000 baht is? Let me go on my currency exchange right here, boys.
It's $100.
Yeah, it's like not even $100, $93, right? Dude, that's so cheap. And then you have people saying like, you know, you have to buy, like, you need to look in the right places. Because I remember I went to like a shopping mall and stuff like that, right? Like I went to like 4 shops. They said fucking 15,000 baht, right? For a fucking Canon EF to fucking Sony E-mount adapter, right? That's like $500. Like what the fuck? And so I just kept looking around and I saw online, right? So this is actually a Meike adapter. That shit's like pretty good, right? You know, I'd say like you can get a dead adapters, right? If you're anal about spending as little money as possible, it's definitely doable. You know, you can buy manual lenses with no autofocus, change the aperture manually and stuff like that. And honestly, doing that makes you a better photographer, right? Like I understand like people autofocus is nice and amazing. Honestly, autofocus is amazing. You know, being able to have like motorized focus rings and aperture rings and stuff like that is really nice, right? But at the same time, honestly, if you really want to get good at photography, like use a all manual lens, non-electronic lens, like your skill level is gonna go through the fucking roof. Because like imagine like 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, they probably didn't have fucking like a good autofocus, you know, or like any autofocus at all. I don't know about that shit, right? But like there was definitely a time where like taking photos, autofocus wasn't a thing, right? I remember because I was talking to that guy I mentioned before, right? And oh shit, Harley, we're getting some feedback.
Sorry, my bad. My phone,
No,
the phone's not charging because my wireless charger is overheating.
Oh god. But anyways, as I was saying before, right? So like, you know, he's like a really old dude, right? And he says like, you know, he was talking about like all his cameras and stuff like that, and you know, definitely that's reality. Like, yeah, I gotta think about it this way. Like there was a point in time where they had cameras that didn't have autofocus. Everything was manual. I had to do it all by hand, you know, no, like, you know, adjusting the aperture manual, fuck the ISO and everything, you know, that's like, yeah, exactly. I think honestly, like everyone should try use a manual lens once in their life, right? I feel like the novelty, well, I'm not sure if novelty is the right word, but like the idea novelty, yeah, novelty kind of works, I guess, but like the idea of being able to oh fuck's sake, Harley, the idea of being able to know how to like manually focus and stuff like that, especially like really quickly, right? You know, imagine if you're like at an event or something like that, right? To manual focus quickly is like a really useful skill, honestly. You know, I feel like that's something everyone should learn. I mean, sure, it's not very useful That's not what I want. That's not what I mean to say. Like, it's not like you're gonna use it all the time, right? Because autofocus is like really amazing now, right? Especially like Sony with their like animal eye focus. I think Nikon is also like starting to really get good at that with animal eye focus. Yeah, fucking animal eye focus. I remember sending Ed a bunch of funny fucking pictures of like people memeing the Sony autofocus. I'll send. Actually, wait, no, that's gonna fuck up Discord. But basically, like, there are like a bunch of graduate students standing on a bridge, and there's like a giant statue of a person in the background, right? And like the Sony eye focus focuses on the statue in the background and none of the people in the foreground. It's fucking hilarious. There's also like a bunch of them with people standing in front of like, it's like some kind of like opening event, and there's a big banner with some dude's face on it, and like it focuses on the dude on the banner instead of like the actual real human beings. That's hilarious. But oh fuck, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, I think I think being able to like understand and use manual focus and like all that, use a camera manually, and using a manual lens is like a really important skill. I mean, there's not gonna be a lot of places where you use it, but like sometimes, you know, for that like 1 in a million photo where like or shot you're trying to get where autofocus just doesn't work, like it's always good to be able to do everything manually. Like I remember I did a video recently. I think it was my last video. I should make a new one. It's been a while. But I was trying to take like a photo with these like bokeh these fairy lights, right? And I was holding them like in front of the camera. So like say the camera is here, right? And I was holding it like in front of the camera, and then like my girlfriend was like behind it, right? Like the camera was just having such a hard time focusing on her instead of like the bokeh lights. It was just like focus hunting super bad and stuff like that. So I had to go manual focus for that, right? And like if you don't know how to do that, all right, or like not good at doing that, right, then you know you're kind of fucked. I mean, like there's a lot of, I remember when I started out, I took a lot of manual photos, in manual focus, right? And like on a tiny little fucking LCD screen on the back of a camera, right? It looks like everything's in focus, or what it's in focus, right? With your subject, right? But then when I go to edit it in Lightroom afterwards, right, I can see like it's not in focus, right? So you got to be able to really understand and know how to focus properly. I think that's a really important skill on a camera.
Yeah, in the video world, you almost say when you're doing something cinematic, you almost never autofocus. So you always have that shit manual, right? Like unless you're making vlogs or shooting something very informal, right? Then you can have autofocus, like so.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you're doing anything apart from that, you're almost always on manual focus. And I think in video is where manual focus actually shines, because then you can have your own artistic touch to it, pulling focus slow, pulling focus fast, right? And then not pulling focus at all, and using actual camera movements.
Yes,
But and then if you put your camera on autofocus, at that point you're just gonna get a lot of confusion from you as because you have some other vision in your mind, right? But your camera thinks otherwise. You just want to get something in focus, so you keep hunting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly a good point. Because like with video and stuff like that, when you're doing autofocus, right, it's like it's basically just a pre-programmed kind of, I guess you could say, algorithm that just picks whatever and autofocuses on that, right? Whereas so you basically have no control, right? You have no artistic control. So I think that's why, like in video, definitely there's no way you can shoot anything that's not like a vlog, or basically a vlog, or anything artistic, right? In autofocus.
Yeah.
Yeah, my experience of of using this lens, I've been able to like really appreciate like the focus, like just the manual focus. Like for example, if you're taking like a close-up shot of like a person, and you want to get like their eyes, but like your lens would just focus on their nose, you know. It's just the fine details that you just want to like switch up a little bit just to get that perfect shot. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a good like segue into another thing I was talking about. So, fucking ant, you little bitch. Anyways, so going back, so that guy, the older gentleman I was talking about, who's been doing photography for a long time, right? Like he loves doing portraits, right? Yeah, fucking Ed, like fucking these fucking bugs, man. So many bugs. That's what like living in a tropical place is like. But anyways, yeah. So he basically solely does portraits, right? That's like his thing. He fucking for the last how many years, like 40 years or some shit like that, just been doing portrait photography, right? Occasionally he does landscape because he's like he used to ride a motorbike, right? And so he would ride around in the country and stuff like that, taking photos of like the mountain, the view and stuff like that. But like I feel like people, they love depth of field so much they don't realize that sometimes it's actually like not good for photos, right? If you always shoot like as wide open as possible, because like when he would take like photos in a studio and stuff like that, right? It's like the depth, the focus is so shallow that it's like you cannot get their whole face in focus, right? I mean, okay, sure, if you're shooting on like a fucking 600 millimeter, right? It's gonna be like impossible, right? But like even if you're shooting on a pretty low focal distance lens, right? I think you're shooting on like 85 millimeter or 50 millimeter, right? So that's actually pretty short distance, right? When he's shooting on like 1.4, 1.8, he has like there's occasional times where like the person model's face isn't entirely in focus, right? So for him, he says like, even though you have like a super wide open lens and stuff like that, like it's honestly not that useful, which is like kind of a funny misconception. People think like the wider your lens is, the better it is, right? Because there's more glass in it, right? But like I feel like sure, depth of field and stuff like that is really cool, and honestly, like more bokeh is amazing, right? But there's definitely like scenarios where like honestly it's not that good.
Yeah, unless you're on a good lens that can open up to those apertures, right? Most of the starter lenses that go up to 1.8 usually are kind of crap at 1.8. They're sure they are blurry and everything, like they're very soft and everything, but as soon as you open that up to 1.8, you start to see a lot of like chromatic aberration and actual loss of detail, right? And those lenses are sharpest at around f4. I would say I think f4 is like the is like a nice spot for all the prime lenses in the starting range, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But then,
I agree, yeah.
yeah, but if you if you just get yourself a 50 mm 1.8 and then just shoot 1.8 all day, I don't think you're gonna get far with that kind of image quality anywhere, because it's just not sharp at that point. It's just like maybe like this bit, like maybe my nose is in focus and maybe something's in focus, but then that's it, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I think it's okay, honestly, to go out and do like f1.8 only and stuff like that, because I would do it before, right? I mean, it's not that good. Like honestly, what you said, what you were saying is most lenses, when you open it to the widest aperture, right, it's actually going to be like a little bit blurry. There's going to be a bit of chromatic aberration. There's a really good YouTuber. His name is like Christopher. You know which guy? The guy who does lens reviews. Ed, you know what I'm talking about. Christopher. He's like a British dude or something like that. Let me check.
Yeah.
Christopher. Lens review. Christopher Frost, that guy.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
he does like he does really good lens reviews. If you're looking at a lens, go to his channel. He shoots against like a wall. Big
He's
wall
very
that has
about it,
yeah, and he has like all these markers on it, and he goes through like the entire aperture range of every lens to see like where it is sharpest. And honestly, on most lenses, it's like f4 to f8 is like when it's the sharpest, right?
Yeah.
Below f4, it starts to get a little bit smudgy, a little bit of chromatic aberration, right? And then above like f8 as well, it starts to get pretty bad because of diffraction, right? So like, but I understand, like, having the option of having like a super wide open aperture, right, is better than not having it, right? Because like if you're shooting somewhere where it's dark and stuff like that, then like you need it obviously, right? But or for example, like, you know, if you're trying to shoot something with a really high shutter speed, right, you're gonna need that wide open aperture because there's no other way, right? I mean, sure, you can bump up the ISO, right? But when you do that, you actually like it's, I would say, bumping up I would say bumping up the ISO is worse than opening the aperture wider, right? Because like there's gonna be way more noise and stuff like that rather than a little bit of softness and chromatic aberration, right? I feel like definitely having a wide open a fast lens, is they call it, right, is definitely more, it has its benefits, right? But just because you have a lens that's f1.8 or f1.4, you know, 1.2 or whatever, doesn't mean that you gotta use it all. You know, it's like, oh, I paid for all this glass, so I'm gonna use all this fucking glass, right? But I think definitely that's something that's actually really common misconception that people need to like kind of like learn and understand, that, you know, just because you have a super wide, a super fast lens and a super open aperture doesn't mean you should shoot on it all the time, right? Because you're just gonna decrease the quality unless you don't give a shit, right? Which some people don't, right? They just think more bokeh, right? But I think from like a professional standpoint, once you start to get above like hobby level and start to like do paid gigs and stuff like that, that's something I realized, you know, because like when I did recently, oh yeah, that's a funny story, I'll get into that.
Is it the air filter story?
Yeah, the one with the no batteries. Did I tell you about that?
No, I don't know about that one.
Was it when you asked me if I was at
but so basically, like, it's like when I do I was doing a photo shoot for like air filters recently, right? I mean, this is not specific to that, right? But it's like, you want the product to look super sharp and stuff like that, right? I can shoot at f1.8, sure, right? And there's gonna be a nice background blur and stuff like that, right? But the only problem is that like it starts to get a bit blurry, right? And when you're shooting products for another person and stuff like that, you want to get the best picture possible, right? So you're gonna, you know, I bump up the aperture a little bit, so it's like f3, f2.8 or something like that. Even just a little bit, right? It helps improve the quality, right? I still want to have a nice bokeh and nice background with depth of blur, depth of
just enough to like
right. Right.
As a bokeh.
Yeah, exactly. I still want to have that, right? So it's not, I'm not saying you got to go all the way to f4 and above and stuff like that. You can find a nice compromise, right? But you have to understand that the lower you go with aperture, I mean, the faster you go with aperture, the more quality you lose, right? But it's not that much, but it's still there. Yeah, so I'm gonna I should probably explain to Ed what the fuck Hardy is talking about. So recently I did a photo shoot for this guy I'm working for with air filters, right? And so, you know, it was like 3 days beforehand, right? So I knew about this photo shoot like a week ago, right? And so, you know, I charged all my batteries, everything like that, all Gucci, 3 days prior, right? 2 days prior, right? So it was a Wednesday, and the shoot is on a Friday, and it's a Wednesday, right? I check it once again, everything okay. Camera, battery, 100%. I have 2 extra batteries. One is like a really cheap knockoff thing because I just wanted to try it out and buy it, and I have another genuine Sony battery, right? And so day after photo shoot comes, he has a fucking model, right? He has a fucking model, right? And so I rock up the thing. I get we set up. I get we're shooting out. Also, this is not like in a studio or anything like this. We're on a street, right?
Yeah.
At a certain location, right? So I open my camera bag. I take out my fucking camera. I turn it on. It's fucking black. Yeah, it just didn't turn on. And I was just like, fuck.
Oh no.
Okay. I was like, fucking quickly get that out. Put another battery in. 3%.
Oh no.
3 fucking %, dude. And I was like, fuck. I was like, okay. I was like, okay, 3%. I can still take like 100 photos with this if I'm really fast and careful. So then I checked the knockoff one, the generic no name brand one. Plug in it. It's like fucking 20%. I was like, oh fuck. And it charged like the milliamp hours is like half of the genuine Sony battery, right? So I was like, oh fuck, dude, I'm so fucked. So I just start taking photos as fast as possible and shit like that, right? So we set up the model, and I'm like boom, 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 like six photos, 30 seconds. Okay, different location. Move. We gotta fucking go, right? And then we're taking photos, right? And I come up to the guy I'm working for, right? And I'm like, dude, you got a power bank? And he's like, shit, I forgot it. I usually bring it. He usually brings it everywhere, right? And he forgot it this time. And I was like, fuck. So I was just like really casual, like, oh yeah, one of my batteries died, so we're gonna need to like hurry it up. Like, we need to be fast. Luckily enough, though, there was like we're later on another location was at his friend's condo, right? So I could charge my camera there, right? But like still like he's paying this model to be here, right? So I'm just like, oh fuck, I can't just be like, oh shit, guys, sorry, my battery's fucked up. You gotta come back another day, right? So we were like taking photos, and like I would take a photo, turn off the camera just right away. Like I take a photo, I just turn it off, and like, okay, so how'd you want it? You want it like this and stuff like that? And then he's like, yeah, I was like, I want her against the wall like this. Can we get this kind of framing? Can you like get a little bit of wide angle shot? So I change my lens, I turn it on, I fucking take a photo. I just fucking run to him like, oh, yeah, this is good. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Turn off the camera, and we're like, okay, where's the next location? Dude, I don't know. People say Sony A7 II, like the batteries for it are shit, right? Honestly, 3%. I took like 106. I took like 100 photos. Like, you just gotta be good at battery management, honestly, dude. Holy fuck, you have no idea. And I was messaging Harley. I was like, dude, where the fuck are you? Are you nearby? I need a fucking camera right fucking now, because I didn't think I was gonna make it. I was gonna be like, oh fuck, dude, I'm gonna need to call Harley to like get over here and take photos. And I'm like, I was like, I don't care. Like, I can split it with him or whatever. I don't want to fucking like make this model come here and make this dude pay for this model, and like
nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Like, only a couple of photos. But I was fucking safe, dude. I was so lucky because the place we were gonna shoot at was closed, so we could only take so many photos. Dude, that was honestly crazy. Yeah. So that was a funny thing as well. So yeah, we took like 100 photos there. We were going to leave, and so that dude came on this motorcycle, right? So there was no space for me, so I went with the model in her car, right? And as we were leaving, her mom was there as well, probably because like she didn't want like two dudes and her daughter or whatever, like bad juju. I mean, I don't think I look like a rapist or a molester or anything like that, but who knows?
Whoa.
Yeah, but anyways, as we're leaving the parking lot, she fucking drove over a cone, right? And so we were just driving down this was at Maya, dude. This is at 1 Nimon, right? And so we were driving down this like pretty big road, and then we just hear like, right? And then I was like, what the fuck? Is that normal with this car? Is there something wrong with the car? But I didn't say anything. I don't want to be rude, right? And then so they're like, do you hear that? Right? I'm like, oh shit, something's not right. Something is not fucking right, right? And then she's like, are we dragging something or something like that? So I just like open the window and I look out the car, right? And there's just a fucking traffic cone stuck under the wheel of the car that we've been dragging along for like 100 meters, right? And I was like, oh shit, there's a fucking traffic cone underneath the car. So the mom just gets out of the car, takes the traffic cone, and she looks around, because we're in the middle of the road and there's cars, right? The traffic light is green, and she's like, oh fuck it, just throw it in the fucking car, take it with us. So she just puts it in the car next to me, right? I have a fucking photo of this. As well, right? I'll fucking send it. I'll send it to both of you right now. It's amazing, right? And so, fuck. And so we just took it with us in the car, and so we got to the condo, and then for some reason, like I had the charging cable, but I didn't have a head, right? Because usually I just plug it into my laptop, right? But I wanted to charge it fast, right? And so I asked his friend, oh, you got any charge? what is it called, like a USB head
Socket,
or whatever,
right,
socket head, yeah,
thing.
like a charger
Yeah.
head, right? So basically the thing you plug into the plug the
And it's
cable
a
into,
USB
and
out, yeah.
yeah, and you plug into the wall, right? And he gave me one, and it's just like little fucking tiny ass cube thing. Like, so this is like what a normal one looks like. The one he gave me is like a little fucking chode, like this small, right? Yeah, like that, like that, dude. It wasn't charging the camera. It wasn't charging the fucking camera, dude. It was like we charged it for like 15 minutes, and the model's still here. She's just sitting and like not doing anything, right? It's been like 15 minutes and it charged like 1%, and I was like, fuck, right? Wait, I'll send you the photo first, dude. That's fucking hilarious. Yeah, and so like, you know, we were just sitting there, and I was like, fuck. I was literally having a fucking panic attack because I had like no idea what the fuck I was gonna do, right? Because we took a lot of what we wanted to do. We're gonna take a bunch of shots with a model, right? And then a bunch of shots of just the product itself, right? And so we didn't finish taking shots with the model because, like, honestly, if it's just me and him and it's the product shots, right? We can like sit and wait for the battery, right? Because that's fine, right? Because I just don't get paid for the time we're waiting for it, right? But the problem is he paid the model for an hour or two or whatever, right? However long, right? And you know, we're not getting any work done, which is a fucking problem, right? And so yeah, we were just I was literally fucking sweating. I was like fucking charged, dude. I just kept turning the camera on and off like every few minutes, like, come on, oh, fucking 2%, please, right? Because I didn't know how many more photos we were gonna take, but you know, I took like 50 photos when the battery sign was empty with like a slash on it and blinking. Right? And I managed to do it. Like I just went a speed run that shit. I would just pick up the thing, move it over there, photo, boom, like fucking running around everywhere. I got it done, and I was like, there was like no other like places we could put it because it would look too similar and stuff like that. We would just be wasting time, and I fucking managed to do it, and thank fuck. I love you, Sony A7 II batteries. People talk shit about fucking new batteries, but honestly, fucking
What the fuck?
Fucking this battery saved my fucking life. People talk shit about Sony A7 II batteries. Sony A7 II batteries are fucking good. Who the fuck take 100 photos on 3% of battery? Fucking no one, bitch. That was amazing. Let me send you the photos. For some reason it's not saving on my phone, but holy shit, dude. That was honestly a fucking horror story.
Oh god.
That's
Yeah, you should be see the
photo. It's just not chilling with you. It's a part of your life now.
It's just chilling. I really wonder what happened, because like I think they just took it home, honestly. Fucking hell, man. That was a crazy thing. Yeah, I was gonna ask. I think we'll just cover this last topic and then like maybe call it a show. But I was gonna ask you guys, like, because I would say, well, Ed can't really speak on this, right? Because me and he doesn't really do paid photography gigs, right? But so this is more so for Harley, right? Like, what would you say is like your experience as like, or the overall experience being like an amateur photographer, right? Because like, you know, a lot of these like YouTubers and stuff like that, and people who talk about it, they're like actual professional photographers, right? And a lot of them don't really talk about, you know, they say like, oh yeah, look at me, I'm going to this like awesome like event or like awesome showcase that's being sponsored by this big company and stuff like that, or like, you know, they have like a bunch of expensive gear and crap like that, and they talk about their experience with that like as a photographer. But like I don't really see a lot of people talk about their experience when they're still amateurs, right? I mean, I guess like maybe if Ed has some kind of experience with video or something like that, he could talk about that, right? But I think that's like something interesting to talk about, because I never see people talk about what a job, like a freelance gig or something like that, working as like an amateur, right? So like you're the pay is less, right? It's not as glamorous and stuff like that. I really want to like go into detail about that, right? So do you have any experience with that? Like, what would you say, Harley?
It depends on where you're working, really. For example, like, you know, I worked at the hostel, so I would take some like customer pictures, like just them chilling, or just them like gifting us like stuff. And but if you're working with like tour companies, like that's fun. You get to go with them, and then like, for example, if you work at a elephant sanctuary, you get to take pictures of people with elephants in the wild, and that's pretty cool. But like it's not like so common, of a gig to always consistently get that
Yeah, yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that's like as an
Yeah,
amateur photographer, you're not like that's maybe like once in a while kind of photography
it's
gig,
more so
Yeah.
like catalog pictures, like you know um for example, you have a bunch of makeup products, and you put in this white box, a photography
Yeah.
white box, and you switch it a
Oh,
fucking contour, fucking brush. It's more so kind of like that, I think.
yeah. I think people like that's also a big thing with not just like photography, but like a lot of people who are professionals at something always like show this like what it's like to make a living doing this profession, right? But that's them at a professional level already. They've done years and years of like boring bullshit that like most people don't think is that glamorous. Like, I mean, taking pictures of air filters is or air purifiers. That's, I'm not gonna lie, that's not very exciting. I mean, hey, I'm not gonna lie, I had fun. It's fun, right? Because I enjoy it, right? But it's not like, don't expect you to go buy your fucking, oh shit, Sony A7's on sale, buy that shit, and like 2 weeks later you're like taking photos for like fucking Tesla or whatever, right? It's like people, I think people need to have a realistic expectation of like you know um, what they're actually gonna get and how hard it is actually to get a job or like some freelance gig as an amateur. and
You
and
gotta
like,
s-
yeah,
you gotta
when
see what is your vision with photography too. Like, for example, if you're really good at landscaping, yeah, sure, some people will probably recognize that and will hire you. But if you're just starting out, and your goal is like, okay, you want to work for a big company, or just like travel and take pictures, whatever. That's a little bit too much to expect starting out. You gotta have at least like some decent skills to go off, to get recognition. You gotta do a bunch of freelance jobs. You gotta have like consistently produce work that people could recognize and be like, oh, yeah, he got something. But yeah, if
yeah,
if you don't have the skills, you won't really have the what do you say? What rhymes with skills? The will.
you won't get like the jobs or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
you also get paid shit basically. You get paid jack shit. I
Yeah.
mean, like it also depends. Like if you get the right client, then you can make like a lot of money, right?
True.
Even if you're an amateur, right? But like most case scenarios, because you don't have much experience, doing paid gigs and shit like that, right? Or like the skill that which you're at is pretty low, right? Then and you have a small portfolio basically, then you're gonna get paid really low, or you have to offer your services at a pretty low fee. You have any experience with that, Ed?
Yeah, when you're starting out, you say you're a hobbyist right now, right? So you
Mm.
only have your craft, but you don't have your trade yet, right? So in order to actually make money, you need to have both, right? So
Yeah.
when you have your craft, but you don't have your trade, but as soon as you get something out of your craft that can be turned into a trade, there you go, you're already a professional, right? But then to other photographers who are professional, you are an amateur to them and only them. But as soon as you charge money for whatever you've done, you're a professional to whoever else who wants your work, right? So at that point, you need to distinct like you need to set yourself apart from whoever is not charging and charging for work, right? Are you charging for your work, or are you not charging for your work? It's as simple as that. The guy who wants work from you will refer to you as a professional photographer, right? Because even he has to show those photos somewhere, and he's not gonna say, yeah, these are photos by an amateur photographer, right? He has to upmarket himself as well, right? And at that point, it's about how you market yourself also, like to other people, right? Your craft might not be shit, but if your trade is nice, if you know how to trade well, like if you know how to sell your sell whatever skill you have, right, to other people, there you go. You're already a professional. You don't even need to know the whole, like going out of auto. Even like you don't even need to know how to go out of auto. You can still be making money if you know how to trade well.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like, honestly, when you're starting out, you gotta be upselling yourself quite a bit.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
and then when
that's
you go
true.
on the internet, you see all of these shit photographers making
Yeah,
fucking bank, and you're like,
yeah.
how? What are they doing that I'm not doing?
The
It's just
problem, yeah, the problem with that, like when that happens, like, yeah, for example, you see people who take photos, right? They're not bad, right? But like your skill level is way
it's
above
just
theirs, right?
much higher.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The problem is literally like it comes to like either you're underselling yourself, right? Or like you're just not marketing yourself correctly, right? That's the problem, right? Um, like you could say like, oh, I think I'm a decent photographer, right? But compared to other people that, like, for example, you have some people who work for a company or something like that, you can see people are taking photos, and compared to like a professional standard, they're pretty low, right? The only problem is your customer doesn't understand that, right? That could be the case, right? So you need to find like the perfect customer, basically someone who doesn't know too much, right, but knows enough to know that, like, you to know that you're not bullshit, right, but at the same time, who someone who can kind of like upsell yourself to, right, and show like, okay, like, maybe I'm not fucking number one or whatever, right, but I'm still very good and I believe in myself and stuff like that, right. I think that's pretty important, right, to like kind of like, yeah, help paint yourself in a better light so that people are willing to take that investment with you. I think that's a pretty important skill, to be able to market yourself correctly. You could apply for like fucking thousands of gigs and stuff like that, but if you market yourself wrong, you're not gonna get a single one.
yeah, and as much as your clients are a portfolio of you, you are also a portfolio of your clients, right? For example, if you charge fucking nothing for a very complex shoot, right? Your it's very rare that that guy will recommend you to someone else because you didn't even charge him properly, right? Like, what is he going to say? Like, this fucking idiot came over and shot everything, and I didn't even charge him, basically, right?
Well, it could also go like in such a way what that guy recommends you to other people, but at that price that you gave him, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you're only going to get
That price range, yeah.
yeah, that price range. And then if you say, hey, I want to charge a higher price, they're probably not gonna say yes, because they're people who are looking at a certain budget, right? What you want to do is find people who have bank to spend and and understand like the value in your skill and stuff like that, that you can upsell yourself a little bit, right? I mean, I'm not saying like go out and lie and shit like that, right? But it's like, if they have a problem, right? The problem is they need photos. The problem is they need this applies to like all jobs, basically, right? They need a video edited, they need a video shot, they need something done, right? If they have a problem
Basically,
and
just
you can
get what
solve it, yeah.
you can live with.
Yeah, if you have a problem, if they have a problem and you can solve the problem, right, then you're basically good to go. You need to be able to, you think of it that way. Your customers are people who have problems and you're the problem solver, right? And so you need to go there. I need you to be able to say, hey, I can do this, this is my rate, I'm really good at this, blah blah blah, and this and that and what. right? And you know, I think a really good thing as well is to show that you actually understand your craft and what you're doing, right? Because a lot of the times with people I work with, I explain why I do things the way I do, right? Even if they say I want this done, I say nope, that's not a good way to do it, right? And they say, oh shit, this guy knows what he's doing, right? I think that's a really important thing as well, to be able to show that you understand and that you're not bullshitting.
Yeah, and then back to our earlier point, like basically that exact point is what separates an actual professional with this from this.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Yeah, I agree with that. All right. So I think that's the show now. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap that up, boys.
Yeah.
If you wanna.
Yeah, before you
shout
go, before we wrap up, what do you think of my
The
shirt?
fuck is that shirt? Jesus, it's like a type of shirt like an 8-year-old kid would wear.
Yeah, it's fucking buttoned up to like his fucking like he's choking on that shit. Yeah,
So
there
yeah,
you go.
if you boys want to plug your Instagram, YouTubes, or Facebooks or whatever, you just fucking do that shit right now, and then we're gonna call it a show.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's Harley Shunjit. Fuck.
I
wait.
mean, your Instagrams and shit are like already down below, but
Yeah,
there you go.
sure.
yeah,
it won't fucking
There you go.
focus. Did it focus?
give,
Oh, there you go.
yeah,
Harley
give,
Shunjit.
give my boys
I'm
a
gonna
follow.
have like a bunch of weird shit in my story. Don't mind that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, boys, for that. Thank you, guys. This is good talk. Yeah.
Yo,
Alright,
selfie
so-
time, boys. Selfie with the boys.
Selfie with the boys. All right.
Nice.
All right. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you, boys. Till next episode.
Yeah.